that those places are going to deal with this. And ultimately, the goal is for everybody to get back to the business and try to do it safely.
Well, we hope it comes to the safety. We got about, the 22nd? So later in July, kids will start showing up more in droves.
Sure.
And we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
And the kids we're talking about with Hiki is, okay, they're here. Make sure you stay put.
Right. And a perfect example of that, and I just saw this is Novak Djokovic, the professional tennis player, who's, he's an anti-vaccine guy. So he's a guy who just doesn't believe in any of this. And he held a tournament, some sort of a tennis tournament in his home country with zero social distancing going on, just no protocols for this. And guess what? He got the virus. And it's like, let's just be smart. That's all you got to do. Be smart.
Right. And the politics sometimes doesn't allow you for it.
Right. It's crazy. But I mean, every day that I come to the studio, I stop at the QT on Golf Links. I get out of my car. I put on my mask. I go get my iced tea. I pay for it. I get back in my car. I take off the mask. That's all it takes.
That's exactly kind of what I do. I do it too. In public, I'm wearing it.
Right.
In my car, I'm taking it off. At home, I'm taking it off. Tom, you have something to say? You look like you have something.
Yeah, well,
use one of those fancy words of yours.
Number one, please. Rabid hand washing also is super important, guys. So what happens? College sports, pro sports, doesn't matter. Have you heard about what's going on in Orlando in the NWSL, the Women's Soccer League? So the Orlando team was supposed to go back in and play with a 4-team tournament here to resume or finish their season, whatever they were going to do. One person tests positive. It was a young lady on the team. And then a week later, 10 people have it. And Orlando has to pull out of the tournament. They can't finish the season now. And the veterans are mad because it was the younger players who went out clubbing in Orlando and brought it into the locker room. So now 6 players and 4 staffers have it. What happens when, because it's a when, that happens in college sports?
Oh, it's going to happen.
Well, of course it will.
So which teams don't finish the season? Football, basketball, who's got to stop? Because it's going to happen. What happens at Penn State? What happens if Arizona? What happens if Oregon can't play because 30 guys have it?
Sure, and then it's on the people that didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they put everybody else in a bad position. And you're right. You might have to shut down a team because 3 guys went out after the game and went to dirt bags and got the virus, and then they caught the rest of the team, and you take their scholarships away from them and tell them to get the heck out of town. I mean, that's what you
have to threaten something.
Right,
yeah,
it's not any different than going out and doing some other violation of team rules.
Right.
Guys, you know darn well if it's your starting quarterback, you're not taking a scholarship away and putting him off the team.
That's an extreme
It
example.
depends on the circumstance.
But yeah, it's an extreme example, but I get it.
I mean, let me put it this way, Tom. If and I don't know Grant Gunnell from Joe Schmo, but if Grant, and I don't think he's even old enough to get into a bar, but let's say he's the 21-year-old quarterback, and he comes home from a game, and he goes to a bar, and he comes back on Monday, and he's got the virus, and they track and trace, which is a big part of this, and they find out he was at Dirtbags on Saturday night after the game with no, completely out of what he's been told to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's violated team rules. If the team loses games because of that, I'm kicking him off the team.
Jay, I support you in that,
but
I just don't think it's reality.
Okay, let's assume he doesn't go to dirtbags, but he's socially with a co-ed or whatever.
Again, they're telling these guys, this is what you have to do if you want to be a part of this team. And if you don't do that and you put the rest of the team in jeopardy, then you don't deserve to be on the team. It's not any different than doing something else, committing a crime or whatever that you're not supposed to do.
I hear you loudly and clearly, and if I were thinking that way, I get it. I think that's too strong. I think they wouldn't do that.
All right, well, then they suspend him or whatever it is.
That's more like
Well, they suspend him and he's off the, and he's sitting out for a month.
Yeah,
partly to get over the virus.
I don't
or whatever. But
it's a hard
there
stand.
has to be some consequences to these guys going outside the guidelines that they're going to be given, because there's strict guidelines and everything's at risk if they don't follow these guidelines.
Allow me to be purely capitalistic about it. Think of how much money you will cost your school.
No question. We talked about that yesterday and today, and I want to talk about on the other side of this break here as we come back, and how much power the kids have during this time.
But go ahead.
No, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but I just think there has to be a major consequence to violating the guidelines that you're given and putting the entire program at risk.
I think if we do have Hickey back, we ask him that.
Yeah.
It's not a tough question. It's just a hard stance.
It's just, what are you guys going to do?
Right.
What are you guys going to do if you find out that the star running back is hanging out at a bar when he should have been in his bubble, quote unquote bubble?
Right. Let's take a quick break here on 10:30 The Voice. Come back.
Trusted local news and talk all day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Time to update those old kitchen cabinets? Call the Window Depot today. The Window Depot is not only the #1 warehouse for windows and doors, we now have a great selection of kitchen and bath cabinets at Tucson's best prices. The Window Depot is Tucson's top spot for granite and quartz countertops to finish the new kitchen or the replacement of that old worn-out Formica. So call us today at 290-8545 or 622-6430. The Window Depot, windows, doors, granite, and new kitchens.
There's a place in our house.
For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
It's a great way to start your day. Hi, it's Hugh Hewitt. Join me weekday mornings for the Hugh Hewitt Show, 10 to noon weekdays on 1030 The Voice. I'll have the news you must have, the analysis you need, great interviews with today's top newsmakers, and we'll toss in a great healthy dose of good humor and compelling conversation to get you going. Let's start the day together with the Hugh Hewitt Show.
News from inside the Beltway. The Hugh Hewitt Show. Weekday mornings from 10 to noon on 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
This is The Voice, 1030, Tucson's trusted news and talk.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzalez. Jay, as we started the show and you came in, we had some time, I talked about this, how much power the kids have today, the student athletes, especially the football players. You're seeing kids talk about their coaches in racially specific situations.
Right.
Gundy is one of them in Oklahoma State. There's another one, West Virginia, Iowa. How much power they have?
It's, a lot has happened in these months that, we've had all this racial strife going on in the country. The stuff related to COVID and players demanding that they be put in a situation where they're not put at risk.
Right.
There's the landscape has changed dramatically in the last just several months.
And you saw what happened at UCLA with the kids almost gonna start their own thing.
Right. They were demanding that not only did they want the athletic department to guarantee their safety, they wanted a third party. They wanted somebody outside of the athletic department protecting them.
Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, guys, whether you like it or not, or whether you believe it or not, this is a life and death situation. There's 100 and some thousand people in this country who have died of this virus. So you can't tell me that it's not life and death. I mean, they're taking these athletes were coming back to campus, and even any student that's coming back to campus, in a sense, is putting their life on the line to do that.
Let's even assume, because you were in the business for a while, let's assume COVID's doesn't even exist. Kids are afraid of talking about their supervisors, their coaches. Now, not so much.
Not so much, and part of it is because they have a platform.
Yes.
They have a place that they can go and air what concerns them, and if they do it in the right way, if they do it in a mostly in a constructive, sensible way and just stayed a position without, flying off the handle and are seen as, somebody who's doing it that way, they can make some headway with that. And we're finding that out.
Well, we saw that specifically to the likeness situation.
Right.
Where they're now able to make money from their likeness.
Right.
That took a while.
That took a while, the whole name, image, likeness thing. So, they're starting to understand that the, billions of dollars at stake in college athletics pretty much rely on them. And if they're and if they can band together and sort of have common ground that they can then state a case, they're making headway in their ability to kind of, I don't want to say run the show, but sort of put things in place that benefit them.
Get paid.
Yes.
I think that's essentially, if you listen to what Jay's saying, he's making my argument for paying college athletes eventually down the road, because they do hold the key to the money that the NCAA as a nonprofit makes.
The thing is, where are they going to get that money? And if they're paying Joe, who's running the ball for thousands of yards, they're going to have to pay Tiffany, who's spiking the ball for how many ever times?
The only way they're going to be able to really pull it off is if they did it by a percentage of revenue and distributed stipends based on a percentage of revenue. Look, I don't think they're ever going to do it. Honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen.
There's no money.
But, well, there is money. There's just not money for the quote-unquote little guys.
Right. I think the way out is what's happening with name, image, likeness, because the money's not going to be coming from the NCAA, and the people who think they deserve the money are going to get the money. The star quarterback, the Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, or he's already gone, but the Zion Williamson at Duke. Those are the guys that are going to get the money. The tennis player is not going to. He's not ever going to get the money.
No doubt about that. But let me give you this too. Okay, so your son is the center for these guys, blocking. He's the guard, whatever, working his butt off to open holes for the running back or the quarterback. He's getting nothing.
He's not going to like it, but that's the system that's going to come about.
There's going to be resentment.
Well, there may and there may not be. The center is probably going to have to be happy with his scholarship and whatever money he gets out of that, because they get money for living expenses and stuff like that.
Sure.
So in a sense, they are paid. It's just that they're not paid enough, or they're not paid what is you consider their proportion of the money that's out there.
Right.
But that's just the way it is. It's called the market. There's a market for the quarterback, and there's not a market for the center.
It's a rabbit hole that
it is. But
it's going to be really affected.
But if the lineman doesn't want to, if he doesn't want to be in that situation, then what the law says, go do something else.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
And that's what I've
always said that.
Yeah, if you don't like it, then go. Nothing says that you have to be a college football lineman.
Right.
Now, if it's your ticket to get an education, then you stay there. And you get your education. Maybe you get to the NFL, but you get your education and you move on.
That's what the circumstances are now.
Right, and that's what
we've always known.
And if you're fortunate enough to have the kind of athletic ability that you're the quarterback at Ohio State or Clemson or USC or wherever, and there's a market for your name, image, and likeness, then you get the money.
Right. Let's go to the phone line. Chuck, thanks for calling in, Chuck.
Hey, guys, I've been listening to your conversation, and I think you're being all a little unrealistic. These are 18, 19-year-old kids. How do you expect to isolate these kids and tie them down so they're not going to interact with any other people? That's impossible. It can't happen. First of all, they've got to go to their practice, and they're going to have to be close to somebody at that point in time. They've also got to go to school, right? They got classes to attend.
Yeah, no question.
They've also got to keep up their grades, right? To keep up their grades, they're going to have a tutor or somebody to talk to. You can't isolate these kids. You can't do it. It's impossible.
No, you make a good point, Chuck. But the point that I'm making is that there's going to be certain protocols in place to do the best they can to keep these athletes to limit the risk. They're not going to be able to get rid of the risk. They're just going to try and limit the risk as much as they can, and they're going to be protocols within reason of just having to live. But again, one of the protocols is going to be don't go to the bar after practice. Those kinds of things. They're going to they do, you're right. They do have to live. They do have to be somewhat social. They are going to be around other people. And if you're following the protocols that the school gives you and something still happens, well, there was nothing you could do about it. But, if you're doing something outside of that and now you've put everybody at risk, now you have an issue.
Well, I agree with you there, but I'm talking about just every day going to class, doing what you have to do, going to practice, so on and so forth. Everyday activities.
Yeah, no, I think
anything other special. You can't avoid people. You just can't do it.
No question. I think that's why some more protocols, whether they have students at the campus or not, which is another thing because they have to have a certain amount of people at the campus.
Right, and you know what? A lot of these kids are going to be, and I would think especially some of these athletes are going to have as many online classes they can possibly get to limit their contact with others, so that they know they're going to be in contact with with teammates and whatnot, locker rooms, weight rooms, all that stuff. But all they're trying to do is limit as much as they possibly can, with the understanding that at some point, yes, you're going to come in. The chances that you're going to come in contact with somebody and you might get the virus or be exposed to it. You're right. There's nothing you can do about that, but you limit it as much as you possibly can.
Another thing to think about, Jay, these are 18, 19-year-old kids, even 20. The people that get the disease at that age, most of them don't even know they have it. They walk around just like every day, no effects whatsoever.
Well,
I think the death total is 0.
And that's where the continuous testing comes into play, to get these kids tested as often as they possibly can, whatever that is, once a week, once every 3 days, or whatever it is. Again, the U of A has said over and over, the college student demographic, yes, they can get it, and apparently, they are getting it more, but they're not showing symptoms. That's why testing becomes so important, so that they know if you do have it and you're not showing symptoms, they got to get you out of basically out of circulation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I think, Chuck, you make a great point, and you're very accurate in what you're talking about. They're just hopeful that what you're talking about is not going to happen. And it's not realistic. Okay. It's not realistic. We understand that. We were all kids once, and we tried to do our own thing and felt we were bulletproof, and realized when you're hit with the bullet, you're saying, how did this happen? Well, it happened because you weren't paying attention.
All right. I just wanted to make that point.
We appreciate the call. Thanks for calling,
listening, Chuck. Thank you very much. Hey, and I was thinking about this because I saw this. If football doesn't happen, and we talked about this briefly, if it doesn't happen, all the dominoes fall.
Oh, it's over. Athletic programs, as a lot of them are going to cease to exist. Mm-hmm. If they don't get the revenue. Greg Hansen yesterday talking about Portland State. They need the money. Mm-hmm. They need the money. They need to come down and play Arizona because they need that money to keep their program going.
How is Arizona going to afford to pay them? Because it's not going to be from gate receipts.
I don't know where they're going to get it, but Dave Hickey seems to think that they can cover this somehow. I don't know how, but again, we're moving along, and it's just figuring things out as we go along.
I criticized the U of A for not being transparent in their discussion of tests. Let me tell you something. If I were them, I would do it the same way.
It's funny because in my time as a public relations guy, I did so many things that I knew I hated as a reporter.
Yeah, right.
And I did them a lot. But you have to do things that are in your best interest. Mm-hmm. And if not reporting the results they feel is in their best interest for whatever that reason might be, then that's the way they're going to do it. And they're just going to do what they need to do. But they have to figure out what's the right thing to do for them. And if they feel like, okay, we'll put out information that we've got 50 players and one tested positive, fine. And if they decide that doesn't benefit them in any way, then they won't do that.
Right. No, I get it. And my thing is with that, too, is they'll break their own story. Not that that's that's just how it is these days.
Well, yeah, and it is that way. And again, that's one of the things that that's one of the ways that I advise people from a PR standpoint is that create your own stories out there, and that's what so many organizations do now through social media and everything else.
Yeah, you're telling your own story.
This is a funny thing. I went on and I was on the Chicago Bears website today, just checking some things out, looking up stuff about Nick Foles, and I'm finding these links to stories, and it says, Joe Blow, senior writer, and I'm like, who's a senior writer for? He's a senior writer for the Bears. He's a reporter that works for the Bears and writes on Bears topics.
Right.
Stuff.
I need one of those gigs. Hey, let's take a break real quick here on 1030 The Voice. Come back and talk to Coach Jim Monaco, now the AD at Pima.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. It was another positive day for stocks, but worries about rising coronavirus cases slowed the advance. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 131, the S&P 500 added 13, the Nasdaq jumped 75. Dell is sharply higher after hours, gaining as much as 20%. The Wall Street Journal reports Dell is examining options, including a spin-off for its 81% stake in VMware. It comes as Dell seeks to boost its stock price. Low mortgage rates and a lack of existing homes for sale pushed new home sales sharply higher last month. The government reports a 16.6% jump, beating forecasts. Buyers were on the sidelines in March and April. Volkswagen may be looking to enter the car rental business. Sources tell Bloomberg VW is exploring an offer for Europe Car Mobility. Others have also looked at Europe Car, though finding a buyer during the current travel slump could be difficult. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
CBS News Update. After a day-long investigation, the FBI concluded that the noose left in the garage of NASCAR's only full-time black driver did not amount to a racial hate crime. CBS's Andy Trier with details.
The FBI conducted a very quick investigation of this, but there was photographic evidence that showed that something resembling a noose had been in that garage for months and months, and it was noticed this weekend when that garage was used by Bubba Wallace's team in preparation for a race at Talladega.
NASCAR President Steve Phelps had threatened a lifetime ban for the perpetrators.
It is fantastic to hear from the FBI definitively that there was not a hate crime.
He says NASCAR will continue to investigate why a rope was fashioned into a noose.
To be clear, we would do this again. The evidence that we had, it was clear that we needed to look into this.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Go local. Make the switch. At Hughes Federal Credit Union, we offer customized solutions and get you what you need faster. Like our quick and easy credit cards and auto loans. All done online from start to finish. Save time using mobile banking, bill pay, mobile deposit, and mobile pay with just a few clicks. Live large, accessing 30,000 plus surcharge-free ATMs and free debit card choices. Make the switch to Hughes today. Visit hughesfcu.org/switch. Certain restrictions apply. Insured by NCUA.
It's your town. Get up and get involved.
Hey, it's Chris from Wake Up Tucson. Every morning we're talking local, state, and national politics with guests from Tucson to Phoenix to D.C. We're the show 9 out of 10 elected officials hope you don't listen to. We've also got you covered with Tucson culture, cuisine, and entertainment. And if it's happening in pop culture, we'll talk about it too. Wake up, Tucson.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9 on 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
Tucson's source for trusted news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzalez. And now we have Coach Jim Monaco, the AD at Pima. Welcome back, Jim. How are you?
Great, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Fine. Good to have you on the show.
Jim, we've been having a couple of conversations here before you came on about. I mean, first of all, we're going to presume with your athletic programs, you're going through all the protocols and getting things ready and figuring out how you're going to get athletes in and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted to kind of look a little forward in terms of what's going on with your program and things like, if you've got protocols in place for athletes and certain things that they're supposed to be doing to make sure that they limit the risk that they're taking and maybe bringing in other athletes, bringing to the campus and stuff like that. How are you guys going to handle that? Let's say, one of your athletes goes and does some, hangs out with some people he shouldn't be, and all of a sudden you've got a positive test. How are you guys going to deal with that? Is there going to be some discipline, or is it suspensions, or are you just going to treat them? I mean, how's that going to work for you guys?
Well, first of all, your assumptions are right. For months, we've been working on this, and our athletic trainers are also on the national board. So we've been doing a tremendous amount of work, as well as the college, trying to set things up to get kids back. I'll be honest with you. Right now, there's no punishments in place or anything like that. I mean, it's a virus. It's like the flu, and we're trying to make everybody understand what's going on, and our coaches are going crazy because they're looking for answers. And in all honesty, we don't have them. We just met as a national unit this past week with the NJCAA, and they laid out their guidelines, but they were very, very vague, and they allow a lot of autonomy for the colleges to make their own. We met then as a conference this week and came up with some ideas and trying to get the student athletes back for August 1st practice, which is when they've allowed us to start. Now, our college and our conferences the conference has not passed, really the regulations that they're looking for. We understand that in place, the social distancing, masks when not working out. So if you get off that piece of equipment, you have to have masks, there's constant hand washing and sanitizing. But where we're stuck is, what do we do when this hits us, or if it hits us? What actions do we take? And that's where we have this huge discussions about what really goes on. I mean, the college has done a tremendous job of blocking off areas so that we can get kids back that need to graduate and do hands-on practical things. But we're going to keep kids off campus as much as possible. So as of right now, we have dates. We just aren't positive what all the presidents and chancellors are going to say about letting us back.
You're in a tough spot, Coach. You know that. How many kids are coming back? You don't have football, obviously, but you have other sports that have to come back and kind of start to get ready. So how many kids are going to be out there?
Well, so, if you've been following it, our track program has blown it up. We went from 39 student athletes last year. We're at 102. So that's where we're having the tug of war with some of the other community colleges. We be bringing back, as of now, 320 some odd student athletes. The problem is they've cut down and condensed everybody's season / fall ball. The point is once you get back, let's just say we get back 250, how do we space them in the locker rooms? How do we space them in the athletic training facility? It's still things that we're working out. It's tough. This is very, very hard for everybody. And I know our governing board and everybody's really taking all the precautions they can. It's just, if we're going to play sports this fall, and that's the point that everybody's heading towards, we're going to play. It's now working out those minute details, which really aren't so minute, and getting all those kids back to campus at one time.
Well, you guys must have an issue with resources. I mean, you're not filling up a 50,000 seat football stadium. Where are the resources coming for this? Where are the resources coming from for testing and those kinds of things? And then the other thing is, you guys don't have dorms. Where are the U of A, for instance? They can put some of their people in dorms and control them a little more. You've got no control as far as that goes, do you?
You're 100% right. I don't know, and of course I don't think you guys read up on all the stuff for the NJCAA, but if you did or did not, the NJCAA is allowing dormitory schools to come back July 18th. That way, just like you said, it was perfect point, they can quarantine their kids for 14 days before the start of August 1st, where non-dormitory schools have to present a plan if that is their position, if they want to bring kids back that soon. We're probably on the side of, we're probably going to be close to August 1 because, like you said, we got kids that they move here, they're in apartments, and if they live here, they're traveling back and forth, and we don't know who they're associating with. So our protocols are in place. Before student-athletes are allowed to work out and or lift and or practice or whatever it be, temperature checks, they have to answer a series of 5 or 6 questions. It's going to be something that's mandated every time. I think our biggest problem is, what do we do when that, and realistically, the way it is when that COVID case hits Pima Community College athletics, how do we handle that? And that's still in a stage of flux. We're still trying to figure that out. Resource-wise, you're right. We don't have the money to test. So right now we are, and just had that meeting this afternoon with my team, we're reaching out to people now trying to figure out, is there any way we can get these young people tested? Because we'd like to. We'd like to have that information before we start. So we've just started this afternoon. We're actually reaching out to the U of A to see if they can help, because they're the ones bringing in testing and starting to develop these. So we're hoping maybe we could piggyback on them. But like I said, right now we're stuck. We're looking to see what we can do. There aren't enough tests to get everybody tested. I don't know how we bring in 300 kids right away and get them tested.
Wasn't it simpler times when you were just losing the football program? I'm going to say I'm not sure because of personal issues, but you bet. I mean, we're in all honesty, we're talking about people's lives. Right.
The kids are getting sick, and people are getting sick, and it's spiking here. And I think that the major concern that presidents, chancellors, board of governors have is the last week. Look what's happened between the University of Houston, Clemson, LSU, Kansas State. It's been insane. And then today, Bowdoin College, a good D3 school back in New England, good football, good baseball, good hockey. They just killed their athletic programs for the fall and possibly for the spring, and they said we'll start back up again next year.
Again, I mean, do you ever imagine ever having to deal with anything like this? I mean, it's just crazy that the things that you've got to think about. And you're right. Steve and I were talking, before you came on, that this, it's not an exaggeration to say this is a life and death situation for everybody. For you, for me, but for athletes, and they're putting themselves at risk just to come back and participate in the sports that they want to participate in.
You're right. And it does weigh heavy. Not having been removed that long from the coaching aspect, I understand where the coaches come from. But having been in this job now for almost 2 years, you sit back and you look at it, and, in all honesty, I always took responsibility for the kids that I recruited and the kids that I had on my football team. Well, that grew from 120 to 320. And, I don't know how I'd live with myself if a young athlete came back to school and got terribly ill or lost their life. And, and like you said, it's not just the athlete. It's the coaches. It's the assistant coaches. Can you catch it? Do you bring it home to your family? I mean, it's, we've got PPE in place. We're going to be masked up. We're going to do everything we need to do and what we believe we have to do to protect everybody. But, when you say was it simpler times, oh, my God, yes. This is really difficult. And probably the toughest thing is you ask a question, and I honestly don't have all the answers because they're still up in the air.
Yeah, who does? In fact, how did you feel that March day? I know I was here in the studio. And this can't be happening. You're thinking sports are going to be shut down. This is that. I think it was a Tuesday, and you're thinking, okay, now the NCAA comes in. You even had a team that could have won a national title with the women. That was shut down. Yeah. How did you feel that first 2 days?
The first thing is, you get all the reports, and realistically, I'm old now. Maybe if I was young, I wouldn't, but I'm sitting there going, this can't really be. We're not closing down baseball. They're not going to stop playing.
Right.
And once it started to materialize, I mean, really, you go back to the days of, 1920, and you hear these epidemics and pandemics, and we never experienced that in our lifetime. We had vaccines and shots, and to have something that truly comes out of a movie, It comes out of a movie. This is something we don't even know how to fight it. And it was strange, and it was really difficult. Our baseball team was really on a tear, and they were doing fantastic. Softball was doing well. Women's basketball had a real chance, and it was very, very hard breaking that to those kids. It was tough. It was very tearful for a lot of them and their coaching staff, because they had a legitimate shot at this. They were that good. So, and Todd Holhouse handled it perfectly, and the girls handled it perfectly. And I'll be honest, and let me just throw this out here. As difficult as this all was this spring, we had the highest GPA we've ever had in our athletics department. We were 2.96. So, and that's kids taking all those classes online. So with all the disappointment came a really great piece that they buckled down academically and handled what we needed to handle, and the coaches did a tremendous job.
Well, that's fascinating to hear, because I think that one of the hard things that has been about this is how abnormal this has been for students. I have a freshman at the U of A, and just watching what she went through just to finish her classes, I can't even imagine, what these kids who were so used to being, on teams, and that's such a big part of their lives, and to be able to have the ability to, okay, that's gone, I'm still going to be able to focus on, on my academics. So that's an incredible accomplishment, both, for them and for your program. So I think that just says a lot about, what your coaches have done. But that's amazing, and that's great. All I can say is that's great to hear that they were able to do that in light of everything that they had to go through.
Yeah, and it was disappointing. And you're right. I mean, psychologically, you'd figure they'd really be on the other end of that. What do I have to be here for? What am I going to do? Especially those sophomores that played and can graduate, and now they're trying to decide, do we stay or do we go move on? And for them to buckle down, our coaches did an incredible job. And the kids did an incredible job. It was just a very difficult situation, and it's getting tough right now, because we're trying to decide. Should we move down there, coach? What are we doing? And my coaches are asking me, when can we tell the kids to come down and start moving over to the west side? Because let's face it, Tucson's big, and these kids have practice at 5 a.m. sometimes, so they try to move closer to campus. And I tell them, I said, guys, we don't have, I have no information for you yet, because we haven't been given the go-ahead to say, yes, we're opening August 1.
Right.
That's the plan.
Right.
Nobody has said, and that has to come from the bosses upstairs. We have our associate provost that's above us, Bruce Moses, is doing a tremendous job, and his team getting everything together and helping us work this problem. So it's been great having somebody above us to really come in and do some amazing things, and they're helping us tremendously. But that final say is the chancellor and the governing board, and we have to make sure we're ready so that when they ask questions, how are we bringing these kids back? Where are you going to put them? We have the answers for them, because if we don't, it's going to be shortchanged for us.
No question. We'll have to have you back on funner, more enjoyable times. I'm not sure when. Maybe 2022.
Maybe by that time I'll either be dead or retired. So you never know.
Let's hope not the first one.
We'll get you back on when we know that there's games going on and it's actually happening. I mean, it's become a little tiresome to talk about, but it's still something new every day with all of this.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, our coaches are so respected throughout the conference that most of them are on the scheduling committee. So Dan Nathel, who's our volleyball coach and who does a tremendous amount of work for us, they're bringing the entire season to 6 weeks. So everybody who's playing this fall will start September 16th for competitive games, and they'll be done by Halloween.
Wow.
Every fall sport will be done by Halloween.
Wow. That's
nice.
Nuts.
Good to know. Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Jim, thanks so much. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. It was great being back with you, and hopefully we will get together again when we have some fun stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Let's take a quick break here on 10:30 The Voice.
Your source for trusted local news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
These days, most families are concerned with having the right insurance coverage. Protecting your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions can be challenging and sometimes expensive. Crest Insurance gives you flexible options and solutions while saving you money. Insurance is not one size fits all, and at Crest, we find the coverage that's best for you and your family. Visit us online at www.crestins.com or call us toll free at 888-881-5765.
There's a place in our house.
For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
Trusted local news and talk all day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzalez. Thomas, you're rocking the tunes today.
He's bringing it today.
Yeah,
We've got some Stevie. We had some Bill Withers a few minutes ago. Little Average White Band. Tom, I'm loving you today, man.
Killing it today.
You know what, guy? Well, I'm trying to break away from the rotator a little bit here, but
Good.
also, you know what? I'm feeling the funk today, man.
I like it.
I'm feeling it.
I feel it every day, Tom. I feel it every day. Sometimes it bothers my kids, but I feel it every day.
Hey, just stay on that side of the wall, Tom.
Because they hear the same songs over and over again.
That's all right.
You know, we drove, like I told you yesterday, we drove down to Patagonia Lake yesterday. Before we even got in the car, my daughter says, "We're playing my music." And I lost control of the music.
Yeah, when my dad was listening to my music back in the day, he says, "Next car I buy will not have a radio."
Fortunately, my daughter likes some of the music that I like, but it's a challenge sometimes.
Well, it was good to have Jim because you get a different perspective on a lot of different things.
It was, and there's two things that I was thinking about as we signed off with him was that, everybody's going through the same thing, and he acknowledged that. And it's kind of. There's a lot of information being exchanged, and everybody's trying to do the same thing, which is get the kids back on campus, just get the sports going, and to do it as safely as they possibly can. And they're all facing the same issues, and they know the issues are hard. But what got me really about what Jim was saying is that there is so much that nobody knows, and that's sort of good news and bad news.
Right.
The bad news is that they don't know. But the good news is that because they don't know, they're moving along and trying to figure this out as they go along.
Yeah, no question. And like I said back in March, I mean, we're 3 months removed, April, and we're kind of it's like we haven't made any progress, but we have.
We have. They've made a lot of progress. I think they've made a ton of progress. What they haven't been able to do is to figure out that hard and fast, this is out of the way and gone.
Right.
But that's probably never going to happen.
So we're on a treadmill.
We're going to be talking about this.
We're on a treadmill
for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And we're not going to stop talking about it when the seasons start. When they're playing baseball, or the NBA is going, or even college footballs get started. We're going to be talking about this for a really, really long time.
No question, because every day, and we talked about, you said about to Jim, every day's a different day. Because there's more news. Tom, you have a note on the... Here you go. Go ahead and tell me, Tom.
I do. This is breaking news reported by the Denver Post. Charlie Blackmon, who's an all-star outfielder for the Rockies, and 2 other Rockies players have tested positive for COVID-19 following workouts at Coors Field. So they're saying different players have been coming in. These 3 guys are positive. Now we got to wait a week or 2 to see who else might pop up with a positive test.
And I hear that. I wonder, okay, where did they get it from?
Yeah, no, that's the problem. I mean,
where did it come from? I mean, are these guys isolating like they're supposed to? And if they are, then where did it come from?
Dude, I'm going to have a grocery store at my house.
I mean, I'm a little exactly.
So the only place,
and I'll be honest. There've been a couple of times I've been a little lackadaisical about it. Maybe I'm getting out of the car and I don't put my mask on this one time, and I'm going to be okay. That could be it.
Yeah, sure.
And really, in the over the last several days, I would say, I've become religious about getting my mask on. When I.
What's the primary reason?
I'm trying to make sure that you know what it is for me?
You're in that age group?
I'm in the age group. That's one reason.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the high risk group. I kind of leaped over it a little bit to go. But secondly, I kind of want people to know that I care about it too.
Yeah,
that I'm kind of sending a message that, look, guys, we're all in this. I'm doing my part.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can still get it, even if I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to cut down the odds too, you know. And so my family and I, we've become pretty religious about this. I ordered, some masks over the weekend that we already got, and everybody's, we've got. I keep one in my car, and all that kind of stuff. And it's it's like it's just it's something that you've got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do.
Well, look what's happened over the last 3 months or whatever. It was the outbreak. It became better, and now it's not better anymore.
Right. And again, and it's clearly not better in places that people aren't as concerned about it.
Right.
I saw there was a tweet about, I think it was Anthony Fauci said that they're expecting to have a vaccine by the end of the year or early next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the very first response to that tweet was, sounds great, I'm still not getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
The anti-vaxxers, of course.
We're people are dying of this. You could die of it, and you're going to stick to this philosophy that you have.
Social Darwinism, man. Don't get the vaccine. That's cool with me.
I'm not like, okay, you know what? Don't come around me. Let's thin the herd a little bit and move on.
Exactly. I'm with Jay on this 100%. Amen, Jay. Amen.
Well, we all know those people, and I don't want to go political here, but we do.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And fortunately, I don't know any of them in my family, so I'm good with that. So they can, they can come to my house. But even when we come to my house, if my sister and her nephew come over, we kind of keep our distance a little bit. Her nephew's my yard boy, right? He comes and cuts my grass and stuff, and I didn't go give him a hug when he showed up. I said, okay, there's the lawnmower over there.
And here's the cash on the door.
There's the
lawnmower,
the hoe and the rake. There's your money on the bar.
Uh-huh.
Just it's simple.
Sure.
Is that perfect distancing? No, because he was inside my house.
Don't touch anything.
To come and get his money, but he brought his own water bottle. That kind of stuff. It's just it's simple stuff.
Well, we're in the third inning of this whole thing.
God, I am so tired of talking about it.
I know, but it's part of it.
But
it's
again,
all part of it.
And again, we have to talk about it pretty much every day because every day there's something new.
Right.
And today it happened to be
something.
that baseball's going to start, which I'm very happy about.
I've said this already a few times. I don't think that we're going to have a full football season. I just don't. Just because of what's going on.
Well, again, we talked about the Patriot League, one of the mid majors that's canceling all its non-conference games. That's kind of a domino.
Mm-hmm.
That's a domino to fall. Will another one and another one and another one, and if that starts happening, all these smaller conferences that don't have the money to do the testing and all the other stuff that goes with it, there's all of a sudden Arizona lose its date with Portland State.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Hawaii,
needs to come in.
Something like that. Yeah, maybe the Power Fives who have more money and can have more resources do all this stuff. Maybe they'll keep going. But are you going to lose some of those other dates with some of those other conferences?
Well, yesterday I don't think you said this on the air. Tuscaloosa mayor,
the Tuscaloosa mayor said that the impact of Alabama football in the city of Tuscaloosa is $2.1 billion.
And you said to me, and what'd you say?
Somebody said, there's going to be football.
Right.
I didn't say it. The first response to that was, this is why there's going to be football.
Right.
And it's hard to argue with that.
True.
It's very hard to argue with that. But, again, we're going to keep talking about it, and we're going to, talk about it some more tomorrow, and, whatever comes up, because there's something new every day. Oh, just today, we saw that there's the Arizona Daily Star has a story that Arizona's basketball contracts have a new clause in them that says this is what happens if a game gets canceled because of the virus. And it says basically nobody loses. Arizona doesn't have to pay them a penalty or anything. Stuff like that. There's all these kinds of things that are coming into play.
The new normal.
The new normal. That's exactly what it is.
The abnormal. The abnormal. Well, James, good show today. We talked about we're becoming doctors.
Oh God, I promised I wasn't going to do that to myself. But we appreciate Jim Monaco coming on, being very straight with us about what's going on over there at Pima.
Right. Again, thanks, Chuck, for the call. Too.
Yeah, and it was great. So yeah, we appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, we appreciate the calls. Thanks, Jay.
If you like sitting around the porch or dinner table sharing stories with friends, that's what we like to do here at Our American Stories. I'm Lee Habib, and each weeknight we bring to you stories about American love, funny stories about first jobs, this day in history, American dreamers and marriages, and even the stories of music and acting legends. I invite you to sit around the porch with us as we share Our American Stories.
Evenings from 7 to 9 on 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
KVOI Cortero, AM 1030, the voice of Tucson. Trusted local news and talk. A Bustos media station.
This is CBS News on the Hour. Real news, real reporting.
I'm Pam Coulter in Washington. The noose found in a garage at the Talladega Superspeedway was not intended for NASCAR's Bubba Wallace. CBS's Steve Futterman has details.
The FBI concluded that Bubba Wallace was not the target, and in fact, the noose had been there at least as far back as last fall. NASCAR's president, Steve Phelps, says he is pleased that this had nothing to do with Wallace, but reiterated that there is no place in NASCAR for any racism or hatred.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci told Congress today he's concerned about a surge of coronavirus cases in states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona.
We were going down from 30,000 to 25 to 20, and now we sort of stayed about flat, and now we're going up. A couple of days ago, there were 30,000 new infections. That's very troublesome to me.
He says the next few weeks are critical for containing the virus.
Rip to right. It's down the line. Fair ball.
They're ready to play ball. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred says he expects the regular season to begin about a month from today. That's after the Players Association accepted the health and safety protocols that will guide the return to the field. Training begins July 1st. The Louisville Police Department has fired one of the officers involved in the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor. CBS's Bill Rakoff.
The police department says that Officer Brett Hankinson violated procedures by showing indifference to the value of human life when he wantonly and blindly, in the department's words, shot 10 rounds of gunfire into Taylor's apartment in March.
In an exclusive interview with CBS News Radio, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the Senate Republican police reform bill is unsalvageable.
For something to happen, they're going to have to face the realities of police brutality, the realities of the need for justice in policing, and the recognition that there are many, many good people in law enforcement, but not all, and that we have to address those concerns.
A federal prosecutor says justice was not blind in the case of longtime Trump ally Roger Stone. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Aaron Zelinsky says the political influence he experienced in the Roger Stone case was deeply unsettling and virtually unprecedented. In a detailed 13-page statement, Zelinsky says the team that prosecuted the president's longtime friend was pressured to water down and, in some cases, outright distort the events that transpired in his trial in order to secure a lighter sentence.
Stone was sentenced to 40 months in prison for obstruction, making false statements, and witness tampering. The Dow was up 131 today. This is CBS News.
CBS News Radio is your home for breaking news. With our team of reporters around the country and the world, we give you the coverage you can trust.
This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson Ricky LeBlanc, admitted in Massachusetts only. Sokolov Law LLC, Chestnut Hill, Mass. Paul J. Morgan, Winter Park, Florida. Greg Hoppy, New Jersey. Michael Bro Gonzalez, admitted Louisiana. While this firm